Hey beloved, my name is Krista Pettiford. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to give you three steps that you can take if you're in a season of transition where God has shifted your season and you're walking into a new beginning. But before I get into the video, I'd like to ask you to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Click the subscribe button. And if you are back and you watch but you haven't subscribed, what's going on, ma'am? And for those of you who have subscribed and always comment, it is so appreciated. Thank you for subscribing. Please share with your friends and those who you think this content would bless. Now let's get into it. There has been a shift in this season, in the decade, in the Hebraic calendar, and there has been a shift. God has shifted many of us, meaning that one season has expired and God is bringing his people into new assignments and new things. And that's why it's a shift in the atmosphere. If you watched my video last week, I talked about a shift in the atmosphere, because God is shifting his people. And so he needs us to come up and see from the way that he sees things and get the perspective that he sees. So I want to walk you through those steps so that you can enter into this new season. For many of you, it has already begun, but sometimes we get stuck and what we try and figure out what we need to do next. So these are steps that you can take that will definitely help you get to the next step. If you haven't yet taken the first step, or you're waiting on a next step from God as you are transitioning into this new season, if God has shifted you, if he is shifting you, or if you're in the transition of the shift, I know that these steps will help you. Those steps are pause, pray, and prepare. But let me get into each one of them so that you can understand what I mean. First of all, pause. We pause, first of all, to quiet our souls, and so that God can speak to us. Because lots of times when we are entering a new thing or we're in transition, we have lots of questions and we don't quite know what to do. It can be scary. We can be tempted to act out of our emotions and do something temporary that will cause permanent change in a temporary situation. So you want to wait on God and hear from him. So the first thing is pause, calm and quiet your soul. The psalmist says, like a weaned infant, I have calmed and quieted my soul. And so before you can enter into step 3, which is to pray, you need to pause. And that means quiet everything. You may need to still away. You may need to get away and take a day off, take a mini vacay, or just sneak in your room or your quiet place, turn off the TV, turn off all the chatter, turn off the news, and just get into that secret place with God where everything is on hold and you are in a state of pause and quiet, calm meditation. And when you get into that place, you want to be able to look back. You want to be able to go into prayerful reflection and see, and introspection, and look back at where you've been and how God brought you out, how your new season came about, how God shifted your season. Is it because you were in a place where you were in an expired season and he had to force you out? Did you step out of something? Did you take the reins of your own life and say, enough is enough, and go after your dream or the new thing? So you want to understand, and might I add that this video, these steps will also give you clarity, confidence, and courage. So that is my goal, is to give you clarity, confidence, help you gain clarity, confidence, and courage. And so how have you come into this season? And to help you also take the reins. Sometimes we are waiting for something to happen. We are waiting for God to do something, and he's put the power in us. If you are going in the wrong direction, God will stop you. But if he's shifted your season and you're in transition, then you have to take the reins. What do I mean by that? That you have to stop waiting for something to happen, and you have to start making things happen, not by power or might, but by faith. You have to step out on what you believe God has said to you, what you know to be true, what you know He has spoken to you, and the direction He has given you. And you have to take an action step forward toward the new thing that He is calling you to do. So back to the step of prayer. But before you take that step, that action step, you want to look back and see how you came here. You want to see where you're at physically, as in where are you at? What do you have? What are your resources? What's going on with you? But also internally, where are you at spiritually, mentally? Are you sure and confident, or are you still doubting? You want to deal with the things that are getting what is the word that is causing you to doubt. Any obstacles, any hindrances that make you doubt or fear or draw back from what God told you to. You want to take time to make a plan, what I like to call a SWOT. So it's your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, and what is the S? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I will put it in the comments. But when you're looking at that, you are seeing what, and I think the S is your success, but what you are assessing your situation. And they do SWOT analysis in business, but you can also do it for your personal situation, where you look and you see what it is that the opportunity in front of you, what threats are in front of you, what are your weaknesses and strengths. That's what the S is, your strengths. What are the strengths that you have going in? So you want to play to your strengths, but you want to understand your weaknesses from inside and from outside, your opportunities that are in front of you, and the threats that come against that opportunity. So when you are in that pause and you're praying in your reflection, your prayerful reflection and introspection, you want to take time to look back, which is hindsight, look inward, which is insight, and look forward. And when you're looking forward, that's when you do your SWOT. You take what you've learned about where you've come from and what you're working with right now. And then you say, God, what are you directing me to do? And what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is the opportunity before me that you have laid out? The different paths. There might be more than one opportunity. And what is the right and best opportunity for me? And then what are the threats that will come against that? And that doesn't mean that you back away. That means that you know what you are up against. And if God has called you to do it, then that is the one that I talked about. Lastly, is you prepare. So you prepare your heart and your mind. And I'm just looking at my notes here. And so in that prayer time, you're allowing God to speak to you. You're thinking of your dreams and visions and what you would want to do as you're doing that self-reflection and that introspection about where you've been, where you are right now, and where you want to go. But then you submit where you want to go to where you feel God is leading you. Because there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is death. So you can think, and it doesn't have to be physical death, but you can think that that is the right thing. But submit your plans to God and let Him lead and guide you. And as I said earlier, you have to step out on what you know to do, but be sensitive to the Spirit unless He redirects you. So that's submitting to God. What is your dream? What is your vision? What has God shown you as you have been shifted, as a season has changed, as one season has expired and another one has began, and many of us are overdue to be shifting and transitioning into a season? Then you want to do that assessment. You want to look at it, and then you want to move forward, and you want to be in a place of prayerful submission so that the Holy Spirit can lead you and guide you. So if you're going the wrong way, He can get you back on track. And then as you prepare, as I talked about the SWOT analysis, then you want to also look and see, you want to count the cost. For some of us, it's going to be doing a new thing, giving up things that you're comfortable with, changing your lifestyle to do a new thing that God has called you to do, investing in something you never thought you would invest in, doing something new, a new education, a new community, whatever it is that God is calling you to do. Then you have to look and count the cost. That's how you prepare before you pursue. You really need to take time. We can be on social media and we can see people and it looks like things just happen overnight. But that's not really true, beloved. What really happens when you are a grown adult or you're a mature Christian, then you need to take your plan before God. You need to count the cost. If you have a family, if it's going to affect your family, your children, your lifestyle, and God is calling you out on the waters, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm in the middle of transition myself, but what I'm saying is prepare. Don't stay too long, but understand what you're getting yourself into when you decide to pursue your dreams. When God has shifted your season and you know that one season is up and God is calling you out on the deep waters to do something new and different, then prepare. You can prepare, but you have to also prepare for the unknown and what you can't think through, and for the fact that God may change your direction or guide you a different way. And so once God reveals his plan, you count the cost, you count the risk and the rewards, and then you shift fully into your next season, understanding what it's going to require of you, what you might have to give up. It might be a lifestyle, as I said, change. It might be spending less money on doing things that were entertaining and building yourself up in a new education or training to move into and to create excellence, to start a new business, to start a new ministry. It might mean leaving your new job or your city or whatever it is that God is calling you to do. And then you move out one step at a time, one brave step at a time. And know that if God gives you one step and you obey, he will give you the next step. And then I also want to say, remember, think about how God speaks to you, because it might not be a voice. It might be a nudging, a leading, a scripture, a confirmation that you're on the right track. You might take one step. He might put a dream in you or open up a new opportunity to you. And however God speaks to you, be led by the Spirit, and don't be afraid to take that next step, because you can stay in a season of transition for years. The children of Israel, many died in transition when they were supposed to be going into the promise. So I don't know what God has promised you, and I don't know what Egypt he has brought you out of, and it doesn't have to be the sin. Egypt was also an incubator for the people of God. So they went in 70 souls and they came out over 400,000, because God was preparing and equipping them to bring them out. So it was no mistake that they were in bondage. The Lord told Abraham that your children, your people, are going to go into Egypt. They're going to go into this land and they're going to be there for a long time. And there's going to be suffering. And there's going to be all these different things that are going to happen over a period of, I believe, 400 years. But when they come out, I'm going to bring them into the promise. And I'm going to make them wealthy. So even though they hadn't heard firsthand, this information had been passed down to them, so they knew, which is why Joseph said, take my bones out. And Jacob, they took their bones with them when they left Egypt after those 400 years. And so God had prepared them. So your season of Egypt, your season of sitting in a place a long time that you may have not understood, that you may have felt like it was hard to do, you may have felt like you were in bondage, but God was preparing you, multiplying your gift, multiplying your purpose, expanding and cultivating and growing you, so that when he transitions you into the promise, you are ready for the giants. You are ready for the fruit. You are ready for the harvest. You are ready for the purpose and the plan of God. But what happens is sometimes we get afraid and we feel like grasshoppers up against the big things that are in front of us. But you have to have a different spirit, a spirit of faith, to take that next step. Say, if God is for us, then who can be against us? If God goes with us, we can take it. And so I just want to encourage you that if you are in a season and your season has shifted, then God is with you. He is for you. Take the time to pause, to pray, and to plan. And in that pausing and pray, process what you've been through. Process where you're at. That means think through, eat the fish and throw out the bones. Have a time of reflection and introspection to gain the wisdom that hindsight, insight, and foresight brings to you. And then take that through your prayer time and submitting to God and plan and receive God's plan. So submit your plan to the Lord and receive his plan. Make sure that you're in alignment. What you want to do is in alignment with what God is calling you and leading you to do. And then move forward in faith. That one step that God shows you, don't draw back in fear, but run after it in faith. God bless you, and I hope this helped you. Please like, subscribe, and share this video or this podcast episode, whether you're watching or listening, if this has blessed and encouraged you.